The camera flashes were blinding as I stood on that stage, my practiced smile frozen in place while my entire world crumbled around me. My name is Savannah, and this was supposed to be my moment of triumph. Instead, it became the day I watched 10 years of my life burn to ashes. And so, it gives me great pleasure to announce some exciting changes. Nigel's voice boomed through the conference hall. He placed his hand on my shoulder, the same gesture that had once felt paternal, now just another knife in my back. Our beloved Savannah will be stepping down as head of conservation operations to explore new opportunities. The gasps in the audience were audible. I kept smiling, even as I felt my fingernails drawing blood from my palms. Taking her place will be the incredibly talented Reagan Powell, who has shown remarkable leadership in our public relations department. Reagan stepped forward, her perfectly tailored suit and practiced wave making me sick to my stomach. She wouldn't meet my eyes. "Savannah, would you like to say a few words?" Nigel's tone was honey-sweet poison. I approached the microphone, my heels clicking against the stage. The USB drive in my pocket felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. "Thank you, Dr. Anders." My voice didn't shake. I'd practiced this part for weeks. The Albacore Ridge Sea Turtle Project has been my life's work, and I'm proud of what we've accomplished. I know it's in capable hands. The press conference dissolved into chaos after that. Questions flew like arrows. Was this planned? What about the breeding program? Where will you go next? I deflected each one with practiced ease, while Nigel smoothly intercepted the more pointed inquiries. 10 years of watching him work a crowd had taught me something, at least. Krista, my assistant, caught my eye from the back of the room. She gave me our prearranged signal, a slight adjustment of her glasses. The files had finished uploading. "Dr. Anders," a reporter called out, "what about the discrepancies in last quarter's conservation numbers?" I watched Nigel's face carefully. There, that microscopic twitch in his left eye. He recovered instantly, but I saw it. "I'm afraid that's all the time we have for questions," he announced, still smiling. "Please join us for refreshments in the lobby." As the crowd filtered out, Reagan approached me. "Savannah, don't." I held up my hand. "Just don't." She lingered for a moment, then walked away, leaving me alone with Nigel on the stage. The same stage where, 6 years ago, he'd presented me with the Conservation Excellence Award. "You understand this is for the best," he said softly. "You've been distracted lately. The foundation needs stability." I turned to face him, finally letting my smile drop. "Funny thing about stability, Nigel. It only works when your foundation isn't built on quicksand." His eyes narrowed slightly. "Be careful, Savannah. Bitterness doesn't suit you." "No?" I pulled out the USB drive and held it up. "How about justice?" The color drained from his face for just a second before he recovered. "Whatever you think you have." "Tomorrow," I cut him off, "the world changes forever, and you taught me that lesson yourself. Never make threats you can't follow through on." I walked off the stage, past the crowds in the lobby, past the reporters still shouting questions. Outside, the salt air hit my face, and I finally let myself breathe. A text from Krista lit up my phone. "All systems go. No turning back now." I looked up at the Foundation's gleaming glass building, where I'd spent countless nights working on research that Nigel had slowly been corrupting for years. The same building where Elise had first shown me the doctored numbers, where she had disappeared from just 3 months ago. "You're right about one thing, Nigel," I whispered to myself. "This is for the best." I dropped the USB drive into a storm drain. We didn't need it anymore. The real files were already spreading across servers in 3 different countries. The sound of it hitting the water below felt like the beginning of an avalanche. 6 months earlier, I'd been working late in the lab when I first noticed something wasn't right. The turtle tracking data on my screen showed impossible migration patterns, paths that cut straight through landmasses, coordinates that made no sense. "Hey, come look at this," I called to Elise, who was analyzing water samples across the room. She peered over my shoulder, her reading glasses sliding down her nose. That can't be right. According to this, turtle number 2187 swam through the Philippines, literally through the islands. Exactly. I pulled up another screen. And look at the mortality rates from last quarter. They're nearly double what we recorded in the field. Elise's face went pale. She quickly closed the door to the lab and lowered her voice. Savannah, I need to show you something. She led me to her office, unlocking a filing cabinet with trembling hands. I've been tracking inconsistencies for months, not just in the data, but in the funding reports. The documents she showed me made my stomach turn. Conservation funds redirected to offshore accounts, mortality numbers inflated to secure emergency grants, and worse, coordinates matching known illegal fishing operations. Does Nigel know about this? I asked. Elise's bitter laugh told me everything. Honey, Nigel is orchestrating it. That night marked the beginning of our secret investigation. We worked carefully, gathering evidence piece by piece. Elise taught me how to access the hidden servers, while I documented everything with obsessive precision. But we weren't careful enough. One evening, I was heading to my car when I heard voices from Nigel's office. The door was slightly ajar. You're getting sloppy, Elise. Nigel's voice was ice cold. Accessing restricted servers at midnight, taking unauthorized samples? Someone needs to stop this. Elise's voice shook but held firm. You're destroying everything we built. I built this foundation. Everything it is, everything it will be, is because of me. And Savannah? What about her work? A pause. Savannah is complicated. She's not ready for the realities of running a global organization. You mean she still has a conscience? The sound of a hand slamming on a desk made me jump. You have 24 hours to submit your resignation, Elise. After that, things become unfortunate. I hurried away before they could spot me. The next morning, Elise's office was empty. Her phone went straight to voicemail. When I tried to access her files, everything was gone. That afternoon, Nigel called a staff meeting. It's with great sadness that I announce Dr. Lewis's immediate resignation due to personal reasons, he announced, his face a mask of concern. But I'm pleased to say that Reagan will be taking over her duties temporarily. Reagan stood up, beaming. I'm honored by the opportunity, Dr. Anders. I watched her closely during that meeting. The way Nigel's hand rested on her shoulder, the familiar way she smiled at him. Something wasn't right. Later, Krista cornered me in the bathroom. You need to see this, she whispered, showing me her tablet. She'd been monitoring the Foundation's network traffic. Massive data transfers last night, someone scrubbing the servers clean. Can you recover any of it? She grinned. Already did, but Savannah, there's something else. I found emails between Nigel and someone named Camilla Craig. They go back decades. My heart stopped. Camilla Craig. My mother's name. The woman who walked out when I was 6. Show me, I demanded. The emails were mostly business correspondence, but one line jumped out. She can never know about Reagan. It would destroy everything we've built. That night, I sat in my car outside the Foundation, watching Reagan leave the building. She looked so much like my mother. How had I never noticed before? The same walk, the same way of tucking hair behind her ear. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Meet me at the pier. Midnight. E. I started the car, my mind racing. Elise was alive, and if she was reaching out now, it meant she had found something big. I never made it to that meeting. Nobody did. The next morning, Elise's body washed up on the beach. Breaking into Elise's office wasn't hard. I still had her spare key. At 3 a.m., the Foundation building was deserted except for security cameras that Krista had already looped. The beam of my flashlight caught the edge of a loose ceiling tile, exactly where Elise had once pointed, joking about her secret stash of chocolate. Inside was a waterproof container. No chocolate. Just a hard drive and a stack of documents. My hand shook as I connected the drive to my laptop. Files appeared, hundreds of them. Financial records, shipping manifests, coordinates, but it was a video file that made my blood run cold. Footage from a hidden camera showed Nigel in his office with two men in expensive suits. "The turtles are just the beginning," he was saying. "Once we control the breeding grounds, we control the entire conservation narrative. Double the mortality rates, double the donations, triple them, triple the funding." "And the actual turtles?" one man asked. Nigel smiled. "Let's just say some of our Asian partners have quite an appetite for rare delicacies." I felt sick. 10 years of work, of hope, of trying to save a species, all of it manipulated to line his pockets. My phone buzzed. A text from Jackson. "Got what you needed from the boat logs. Meet me at the usual spot." The usual spot was a 24-hour diner near the marina where Jackson docked his research vessel. He was waiting in a corner booth looking weathered as always in his captain's jacket. "You're not going to like this," he said, sliding a folder across the table. "Those coordinates Elise flagged? They match perfectly with these shipping routes. Your Foundation's boats were running interference while poaching vessels worked the breeding grounds." "Our tracking data showed those areas were clean," I muttered, "because the data was doctored. But here's where it gets worse." He pulled out another document. "Look who signed off on the original operation 15 years ago." The signature was faded, but clear. Camilla Craig. "My mother," I whispered. "She was part of this from the beginning?" "There's more." Jackson hesitated. "These documents, they link her directly to Nigel, not just professionally." Before he could continue, the diner's door chimed. Reagan walked in, spotted us, and froze. "What are you doing here?" I demanded. "Following you," she admitted, sliding into our booth. "I saw you leaving the Foundation. I know what you're doing, Savannah. You're trying to destroy him. He's destroying himself, and apparently our mother helped." Reagan's face went white. "How did you know about Camila?" "I just found out. What I don't understand is why you never told me we were sisters." "Half-sisters," she corrected quietly. "And I wanted to tell you. But Father, Nigel, he said it would complicate things." The world tilted on its axis. "What did you just say?" Reagan's eyes widened as she realized her slip. I thought you knew. Nigel is your father too. That's why Camilla left. She couldn't handle his methods." I stood up so fast the table rattled. "You're lying." "She's not," Jackson said softly. "It's all in the documents. Camilla left to protect you from becoming part of his world. But Reagan—" "I grew up in it," Reagan finished. "I'm sorry, Savannah. I really am." My phone buzzed again. Krista. "Emergency. Someone's accessing Elise's old files. They know." I gathered the documents quickly. "Reagan, you need to make a choice right now. Are you with him or with the truth?" She stared at her hands. "I don't know if I can help you. He's still my father. He's a monster who's been killing the very things we swore to protect. And now Elise?" I stopped, the truth hitting me like a wave. "He killed her, didn't he? Because she knew." Reagan's silence was answer enough. "Last chance," I said. "Help me stop him or get out of my way." She stood up slowly. "I can't help you, but—" She hesitated at the door. "I won't stop you either." I watched her leave, this sister I never knew I had, daughter of the father I never wanted. Jackson squeezed my shoulder. "What now?" he asked. I pulled out my phone and dialed a number I'd been saving. "Now we call in the cavalry. It's time to wake up the press." The knock on my apartment door came at midnight. I knew who it was before I opened it. Only one person had ever knocked in that particular rhythm, 3 quick taps followed by 2 slow ones. "Hello, Savannah." Camila stood in my doorway, barely aged from the day she left. "Reagan told me you know." I gripped the doorframe. 25 years, and that's all you have to say?" She pushed past me into the apartment. "I see you got my eyes. And his determination." "Don't." My voice shook. Don't you dare talk about him. He wasn't always like this, she said, running her finger along my bookshelf. When we started the foundation, Nigel truly wanted to save the oceans. But power corrupts, and he corrupted you too? I interrupted. Because those shipping manifests have your signature all over them. She turned, eyes flashing. I did what I had to do to protect you. Protect me? I laughed bitterly. You abandoned me. Because he wanted to groom you like he groomed Reagan. I saw what he was turning into, what he wanted for his legacy. I couldn't let that happen to you. My phone buzzed. Jackson sending an urgent update. I ignored it. So instead, you left me with Aunt Marie and disappeared. While you what? Helped him build his empire of lies? I tried to stop him, she insisted. But he threatened to take you if I didn't cooperate. So I left, made sure you were safe with Marie, and played along until I could gather enough evidence. Another buzz, then another. What evidence? I demanded. Everything. Account numbers, contacts, the whole network. I've been building the case for years. She pulled out a thumb drive. It's all here. But I needed someone on the inside to verify the current operations. When I heard you joined the foundation, you used me, I realized. You knew I'd eventually discover the truth. You were always too smart for your own good, just like him. My phone buzzed again, more insistent. This time I looked. Jackson. Turn on the news now. I grabbed the remote. The TV flickered to life, showing helicopter footage of the beach near the Foundation's research center. Police boats circled something in the water. The reporter's voice cut through the room. Body of Dr. Elise Lewis was discovered this morning. While initially ruled an accidental drowning, new evidence suggests... Camilla went pale. It's starting. What's starting? What do you know about Elise? We need to leave. Now. She grabbed my arm. They'll come for us both. I yanked away. I'm not going anywhere with you. Savannah, please. Nigel knows I'm here. He's always known. Why do you think Reagan contacted me? The pieces clicked. She set you up. She set us both up. She's more like him than you know. My phone rang. Krista this time. I answered on speaker. They're deleting everything, she shouted. All the servers, all the backups. Someone triggered a complete system purge. Camila cursed. We're too late. No, I said, grabbing my laptop. Krista, remember that shadow server we set up? Start the transfer. Now. Already on it. But Savannah, there's something else. The police just issued a warrant. For you. Camila grabbed the TV remote, turning up the volume. Sources suggest Dr. Lewis was preparing to expose fraudulent research conducted by former Conservation Operations head Savannah Whitfield. Documents provided by the Foundation appear to show... I couldn't breathe. He's framing me for everything. Of course he is, Camilla said softly. It's what he does. Destroys the things he can't control. Another knock at the door. Not gentle this time. Heavy, authoritative. Police! Open up! Camilla grabbed my arm again. Fire escape! Now! This time, I didn't resist. We slipped out the window just as my front door burst open. As we climbed down, I could hear them tearing apart my apartment above. Where do we go? I asked once we hit the alley. Camilla pulled out her phone. To see an old friend, someone who's been waiting 20 years to take Nigel down. Who? Your Uncle Jackson. He's not just my nephew, he's my partner in all of this. And he has proof that Nigel killed Elise. Jackson's boat was exactly where he said it would be. A weathered research vessel docked at the far end of the marina. The night fog provided perfect cover as we crept along the pier. Ladies. A familiar voice made me freeze. Terrence stepped out of the shadows, looking exactly as he had 3 years ago when he'd betrayed my research to our competitors. What are you doing here? I hissed. Jackson called me. He held up his hands. I'm here to help. Like you helped last time? By selling us out? That was different. I didn't know then what I know now. Jackson emerged from the cabin. He's telling the truth, Savannah. Show her. Terrence pulled out his phone, playing a video. It showed Elise on the research platform the night she died. Two men approached her. Even in the grainy footage, I recognized Nigel's head of security. Keep watching, Terrence said quietly. The men grabbed Elise. She fought, but they were too strong. Then Nigel himself appeared, speaking words we couldn't hear. Elise spat in his face. Seconds later, she went over the railing. Where did you get this? Camila demanded. I've been working IT security for their Singapore office, Terrence explained. They didn't know I had access to their backup servers. My phone vibrated. Krista again. Bad news. Reagan's going live on TV in 10 minutes. Something about revealing the truth about Savannah. Turn it on, I told Jackson. He led us into the cabin where a small TV was mounted on the wall. Reagan appeared, looking perfectly composed in front of a wall of reporters. My sister Savannah is a troubled person, she was saying. She became obsessed with proving conspiracy theories about the Foundation when Dr. Lewis tried to help her, to reason with her. That little snake, Camila muttered. We need to stop this broadcast, I said. Terrence was already typing on his laptop. Working on it, but we need a distraction. I'll give you one better. Jackson pulled out a satellite phone. Remember that reporter who broke the fishing industry scandal last year? She owes me a favor. While he made the call, Krista sent another message. Found something huge. Nigel's flying to Singapore tonight. Private jet. Taking everything with him. He's running, Camila realized. He'll destroy all the evidence and disappear. Not if we stop him. I turned to Terrence. Can you get into the airport systems? He grinned. Already there. His flight plan just mysteriously disappeared. They'll ground him for at least 2 hours. Long enough to get there, Jackson said, hanging up the phone. Sarah's running the story in 20 minutes. Full exposé on the Foundation's corruption. Suddenly, the boat's radio crackled. Research vessel Northern Star. This is Harbor Patrol. Prepare to be boarded. We rushed to the windows. Police boats were approaching from both directions. Back exit, Jackson commanded, leading us to a hidden door in the galley floor. Underwater passage to the next dock. Scuba gear's ready. Wait, I grabbed Camila's arm. Why should I trust you now? She pulled out an old photograph. It showed her, much younger, holding a baby. Behind her stood Nigel, and next to him, Elise. Because Elise was my best friend, she said softly. She promised to protect you when I couldn't, and Nigel killed her for it. Footsteps thundered above us. Choose now, Terrence urged, holding out a scuba mask. I took it, following them down into the water. As we swam beneath the surface, I saw emergency lights reflecting through the waves. They were searching the wrong boat. We emerged 10 minutes later at a private dock where Krista waited in a van. Reagan's finished her speech, she reported as we climbed in, dripping. But Sarah's story just broke. It's everywhere. My phone lit up with notifications. OceanGate was trending. The Foundation's stock was plummeting. He'll be desperate now, Camila warned. And desperate men are dangerous. Good, I said, checking the time. Because we're about to make him more desperate. Krista, send everything to Interpol. Everything. Already done. She smiled grimly. They're waiting at the airport. Then let's go watch the show, I said. It's time Nigel learned what it feels like to be hunted. We sped toward the airport, leaving the marina's lights behind. Somewhere in the darkness, a police siren wailed. But for once, they weren't chasing us. They were chasing him. The private airport terminal was chaos. News vans clogged the entrance, their satellite dishes reaching into the night sky like metal trees. Interpol agents in dark suits spoke rapidly into earpieces while local police established a perimeter. He's inside, Krista reported, monitoring her tablet from our position in the parking lot. Third floor office, Reagan's with him. Any sign of the files? I asked. 2 security guards just brought up a metal briefcase. Has to be them. Camila studied the building's layout on her phone. There's a service entrance through the kitchen. Still have your old badge, Terrence? He pulled out a weathered airport security card. It might work, but they've probably updated the systems. They haven't, Krista said confidently. I made sure of that. We split into 2 teams. Terrence and Krista would handle the security systems, while Camila, Jackson, and I went for the files. The service entrance beeped green when we swiped the card. Remember, Jackson whispered as we climbed the back stairs, we just need the briefcase. Don't engage. But halfway up to the 3rd floor, we heard shouting. You promised! Reagan's voice echoed down the stairwell. You said nobody would get hurt. Keep your voice down, Nigel hissed back. Everything I did was to secure your future. By killing Elise? By destroying Savannah? They were threats. I eliminate threats. We reached the 3rd floor landing. Through the door's window, I could see Nigel pacing, Reagan standing near his desk. The briefcase sat between them. My phone vibrated silently. Krista. Police coming up the main stairs. 2 minutes. I can't do this anymore, Reagan was saying. I'm calling security. She reached for the phone. Nigel moved faster than I thought possible, grabbing her wrist. You're just like your sister, he snarled. Weak, sentimental. That's when I pushed through the door. Let her go. Nigel spun around, still gripping Reagan's wrist. Savannah, I should have known. It's over, I said. Interpol has everything. The turtle trafficking, the money laundering, Elise's murder. They have accusations, he corrected smoothly, from a disgraced researcher who killed her mentor in a jealous rage. They have proof. Camila stepped into the room. Hello, Nigel. His face contorted. You. Me. And unlike you, I kept receipts. He shoved Reagan aside, reaching for the briefcase, but Jackson was faster, sliding around the desk to grab it. Don't! Nigel pulled out a gun. Everything froze. Below, we could hear footsteps on the stairs. Give me the case, he demanded. Now. Or what? I asked. You'll shoot us all? Add mass murder to your charges? If necessary. His hand was steady. I built this empire. Everything I did was for the greater good. The greater good? Reagan's voice cracked. You killed people. You destroyed an entire species. I created a narrative, he shouted. People don't care about dying turtles. They care about stories, hope, drama. I gave them what they needed to care. No, I said quietly. You gave them lies. And now everyone knows. His finger tightened on the trigger. Last chance. The case. Shoot me then, I challenged. Prove what kind of man you really are. What kind of father? The word hit him like a slap. For a split second, his aim wavered. That's when Reagan tackled him. The gun went off, the bullet shattering a window. They crashed into the desk as police burst through both doors. Federal agents, hands up! Nigel tried to run, but Jackson caught him, pinning him down. The gun skittered across the floor. Dr. Anders, an Interpol agent announced, you're under arrest for fraud, conspiracy, and the murder of Dr. Elise Lewis. As they led him away in handcuffs, he locked eyes with me. You'll never prove anything. I picked up the briefcase. Actually, we already have. Reagan stood shakily, rubbing her wrist. I'm so sorry, Savannah. For everything. I know. I watched Nigel disappear down the hallway. We all are. Camila touched my shoulder. It's finished. But looking at the briefcase, at Reagan's tears, at the broken window reflecting red and blue police lights, I knew it wasn't finished. It was just beginning. The media frenzy that followed was exactly what Nigel would have orchestrated himself, if he hadn't been the target. News helicopters circled the foundation building while reporters swarmed the entrance like hungry gulls. Dr. Anders claims Ms. Whitfield fabricated evidence, a reporter shouted as I pushed through the crowd. Any response? I kept walking, Krista and Reagan flanking me. We had more important things to handle than press statements. Inside, federal agents were seizing computers and files. Camila and Jackson had gone to secure the research facilities, making sure no evidence disappeared in the chaos. Ms. Whitfield? An agent approached with a tablet. We found something you should see. The video showed Nigel in his office the night Elise died. He was on the phone. It's done. The Lewis problem is handled. Now about Savannah. Yes, I have a plan for that too. Reagan gripped my arm. There's more, she said. Show her the safe. Behind Nigel's desk, agents had opened a hidden wall safe. Inside were dozens of USB drives, each labeled with dates going back decades. He recorded everything, Reagan explained. Insurance, he called it. Blackmail material on everyone who ever crossed him. Including this. Krista held up a drive labeled Camila, 1996. The year she left. My phone buzzed. A news alert. I clicked it and froze. Breaking. Foundation president makes shocking claims from custody. The video showed Nigel in an orange jumpsuit speaking directly to camera. Everything I did was under Savannah's direction. She orchestrated the entire operation, using her mother's old contacts. I tried to stop her, but I threw the phone down. He's still trying to control the narrative. Not for long. Terrence appeared in the doorway, grinning. Check your email. I opened my laptop. There, in my inbox, was a message from Elise's private account, scheduled to send automatically if she didn't reset it every month. Dear Savannah, if you're reading this, I'm probably dead. But I didn't leave you empty-handed. In my personal safe at home, you'll find everything you need. The combination is the date you first showed me the corrupted turtle data. Don't let him win. Elise. Her house is just 10 minutes away, Reagan said. We found the safe hidden behind a painting of sea turtles. Inside was a single USB drive and a handwritten letter. This isn't just about him, I read aloud. It's about the whole network. Politicians, judges, business leaders, everyone who helped hide the truth. The evidence is all here. Use it wisely. Look at this, Krista called from Elise's computer. She'd found a hidden folder of surveillance footage, dozens of meetings between Nigel and his conspirators, all perfectly documented. My phone rang. Jackson. Turn on the news. Now. The TV showed Nigel being led into court, but it was the headline that made my heart stop. Global conservation scandal. Multiple arrests in 4 countries. It's happening, Reagan whispered. It's really happening. The reporter continued. In a stunning development, evidence provided by late researcher Dr. Elise Lewis has triggered an international investigation. High-ranking officials in multiple countries have been implicated in what authorities are calling the largest environmental crime syndicate in history. Camila burst in. They found the shipping containers. Hundreds of them. Live turtles being smuggled to black market buyers. And the breeding grounds, I asked. Safe. International protection teams are already moving in. My phone lit up again, this time with a message from an unknown number. A video link. It showed Nigel in his holding cell, raging at his lawyers. She thinks she's won? She's nothing. I made her. Everything she is exists because I allowed it. No, I said quietly, closing the laptop. Everything I am exists because you failed to destroy it. Krista touched my shoulder. What now? I looked at Reagan, who nodded slightly. At Camila, who smiled for the first time in days. At Elise's letter, still in my hands. Now we finish what she started. Not just exposing the truth, but fixing what they broke. The foundation? Reagan asked. No. I pulled up the surveillance footage. The whole system, every last piece of it. Outside, another news helicopter circled, but this time, they weren't chasing scandal. They were witnessing justice. The sun was rising over Albacore Ridge as our research vessel cut through the waves. Jackson stood at the helm while Krista monitored the tracking equipment. Signal's strong, she reported. The new satellite tags are working perfectly. I watched the screen showing dozens of blinking dots, each one a rescued turtle, returning to their ancestral breeding grounds. After the raids, we'd found hundreds in holding facilities across Asia. Now they were finally coming home. "Movement on the beach," Reagan called from the bow. Through binoculars, I could see tiny dark shapes emerging from the sand. "Hatchlings," I breathed. "They're actually hatching." We anchored offshore and took the smaller boat in. As we approached, I could see them clearly, hundreds of baby turtles making their way to the water. "The rehabilitation program worked," Krista said, wiping tears. "They're really coming back." My phone buzzed. A news alert. The sentencing had finished. Nigel, 25 years. His network of conspirators. Similar terms. The evidence Elise gathered had been irrefutable. "Savannah," Reagan pointed to the beach. "Look who's here." Camilla stood at the waterline, watching the hatchlings. She turned as we approached. "I wasn't sure you'd come," I said. "I almost didn't." She gestured to the turtles. "But some things are worth facing your fears for." A larger shape moved in the water, one of the tagged adults we'd released last week. Its tracker signal pinged on Krista's tablet. "That's the one we found in Singapore," Reagan said. "The one they were saving for some businessman's soup." "Not anymore." I watched it glide past the hatchlings. "They're protected now, really protected." Camila touched my arm. "Just like you were supposed to be." "I protected myself," I said, "and Elise protected the truth." Speaking of truth, Reagan pulled out an envelope. "This came to the Foundation today, from the International Conservation Committee." I opened it. Inside was an offer, not just funding, but complete oversight of a new global marine protection initiative. Independent, transparent, everything we'd fought for. "They want you to lead it," Reagan said. "No." I handed her the letter. "They want us to lead it. All of us." "Even me?" Camila asked quietly. "Especially you. Who better to prevent corruption than someone who's seen it from the inside?" A splash drew our attention. More adult turtles were arriving, drawn by some ancient instinct to their breeding grounds. Their shells gleamed in the morning sun. "We should document this," Krista said, already setting up her camera. "Show the world what really happens when we protect instead of exploit." Jackson joined us on the beach. "Coast Guard reports the last poaching vessel just left the exclusion zone. They're not coming back." "Good." I watched another wave of hatchlings reach the water. "Because neither are we." "What do you mean?" Reagan asked. "This isn't our beach anymore. It's theirs. We'll monitor from a distance, but—" I gestured to the thriving scene before us. "Nature knows what it's doing. We just have to stop getting in its way." Camilla smiled. Wise words. Not from Nigel, I assume. No. I thought of Elise's final letter. From someone who actually cared about saving things, not controlling them. We stood there as the sun climbed higher, watching life return to waters that had been nearly dead. My phone kept buzzing with updates about the sentencing, about the Foundation's restructuring, about the global impact of what we'd uncovered. I turned it off. "Ready to go?" Jackson asked eventually. "Almost." I walked to the water's edge, letting the waves wash over my feet. A baby turtle struggled past, determined despite its size. "You know what Elise used to say?" I told the others. "She said karma doesn't wait for perfect people, just honest ones." "Was she right?" Reagan asked. I watched the tiny turtle reach the sea, disappearing into its vastness with a final flip of its flippers. She was right about everything. We returned to the boat as more hatchlings made their journey. Behind us, the beach slowly emptied, leaving only tracks in the sand, hundreds of tiny paths, all leading to the sea, to freedom, to truth, to home.